Hello everyone, my name is phil.ingram. I'm with tellatek.com, and today I'm going to show you some of the basics in converting a Webflow HTML export to a WordPress theme. Now, due to the complexity of the WordPress content management system, we're only going to cover the basic necessities in creating a custom homepage with a header, a footer, a few widget areas. We'll integrate with the WordPress menu system here. We'll also include a basic loop and some hooks for the WP head and WP footer that many plugins will require to be of any use within your theme. There are many capabilities such as blog loops, sidebars, web forms, all different types of plugins and whatnot, but for today we're just going to cover the basics in converting our Webflow export to a WordPress theme. Let's see here. Now, just to quickly review a minor edit that I did with the export here is I simply changed index.html to index.php. It's one of the required files along with a few others, but we'll add those a little later in the tutorial. I've also created a basic thumbnail that will be used as a visual aid when viewing the themes from within the WordPress admin pages. The thumbnail dimensions that I used is 880 pixels by 660 pixels, and it must be saved as a PNG with the name screenshot.png. So as you can see, the image is fairly basic, but you can be as creative as you want with that. And this will also reside in the root folder of our theme. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is a fresh WordPress install with a few helper plugins. This WP IDE plugin is a free plugin, and it basically provides a code editor from within the administration, so we can actually build out our theme from within WordPress. So just to show you how quickly that can be installed, we can just search for it by name from the WordPress repository, install it, activate it, and we'll get our new menu item over here. And from here we can browse our WP content directory where our themes folder resides, and in here you can see where I've already uploaded the Webflow export, including the screenshot as well as the modified index.html file. All the same content in it, it just literally has a different file extension on the back of that. There's also another file that is required by WordPress. It is the style.css, and we'll go ahead and open that up. And we'll paste in some code here. Now, WordPress filters through the comment portion of this file to determine some of the unique theme attributes, many of which are optional, but most of them, well, I should say some of them are required. For example, the theme name. Some of the other optional information would be the author information, some of these URLs. We have a description. I've added some version information, licensing. A lot of this I just stole directly from the 2015 theme that comes with WordPress. And once we save this here, we should now see our theme in the theme area. And currently our active theme is the 2015. But just to quickly show you, if we open up the details on this, you can see some of that information that was filtered out of our style.css. So here we can go ahead and activate this theme, and if we go ahead and view our site right now, it's not going to look too pretty. This is partially because WordPress filters the file structure from within our theme folder, but of course it's a dynamic database driven website. We need to correct some of the file paths so it knows where to find our style sheets, our scripts, and our images, so that when we're done, it will look like this. So let's go back and look at our style CSS here, and you can read more about this in the WordPress Codex, but you can quickly see that I've defined the theme name, URL, and a couple other things in here, but we actually haven't put our styles in here. And I'm going to use this file as a way to override any CSS that we have from our export, and we'll continue to use the style sheet that we exported from Webflow by calling that from within our theme. So another thing we want to do here is we want to break apart this index.php into a couple additional files. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a header.php and a footer.php so that we don't constantly have to be calling duplicate code every time we navigate to different pages of our website. We will WordPress will basically look at the header information from the header PHP file, and I'll show you how we're going to include that here. So we'll go ahead and just create these files. We'll go ahead and create a footer.php as well. We'll go ahead and open these up, and we'll go back to our index.php. Let's just go ahead and grab our upper menu, and we will cut that out. Since this is a PHP file, we'll go ahead and just put a quick tag in here to include the header by simply typing in this PHP get header function. This is a WordPress function that will tell the WordPress theming mechanism to look for the header PHP file. And we will open this as well with another PHP tag, and we will go ahead and just do something temporary there to save that information, and we'll do the same thing over here. And let's go ahead and grab the section that will make up our footer. Come in here and we'll just some more stuff that I snagged from the 2015 theme here. Just go ahead and overwrite some information in here. We'll call this is optional. Okay, so you'll notice that there's this data information up here that was supplied in our Webflow export, and this is basically if we're using any Webflow forms. This will actually post back to Webflow, where anyone filling out those forms will that information will be captured in your Webflow account. And for now, we're just going to leave that intact. We will also come in here and we'll go ahead and start adding in a few things that WordPress that we can capture from WordPress. Alright, so now we need to tell Webflow where to find our CSS file. So one way of doing this is there is a function that we can paste in here, and what this is going to do is echo out the actual path to our theme directory, which is this Webflow directory here, and we need to put a / here to tell it to find this file in the CSS subfolder. And that's the correct name of our CSS file there. And we need to do the same thing with our script over here. So we'll go ahead and do that with the /. And this Google font is an external reference, so we don't need to modify that. We'll come down here and do the same thing with the modernizer script. And then of course we have our icons, and I'm just going to leave these currently. These are being grabbed from the Webflow export. But there is one thing I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and add our style sheet as well. So we'll go ahead and just change this here. Style.css. So that way any rules that we apply in the style CSS in order of appearance is going to override Webflow because it's coming in after our Webflow CSS. Alright, we can get rid of this too. We don't need this. And then right before the closing head tag, we're going to go ahead and add this little hook, PHP WP_head, and this will allow other plugins to hook into the head area and install or supply scripts, as well as style sheet information or any SEO utilities can access the head area of our theme. And let's see, what else do we have in here? Oh, let's go ahead and let's see. This is for our like a one-page layout, which basically provides some navigation in the theme here. So everything there looks good. Alright. And in our footer, let's look at what we have for links in here. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing for some of these footer scripts down here, so that it will find the correct path to those. And we also have some images. Don't forget that additional slash that is required there, the /. Alright, let's go back into, actually before we go to our index PHP, there's one more hook that we want to provide in here, which very much like WP head, we have some plugins that we'll want to access just before the closing body tag, and that is WP_footer. So we'll go ahead and put that in there and save the file. And we'll come back over to our index PHP, and let's fix any path references in this file here. So we'll start at the top. Looks like we got a slider. Oh, here's an image right here. We'll go ahead and do this for all of the image paths. This would be the pricing tables. Alright, I think that is the last one. Okay, and we need to do the same thing that we did for including the header to be able to also include our footer. So we'll go ahead and paste this little snippet, get_footer, and that will include the file footer.php. Okay, so with this, I believe now we should be able to refresh our page here, and let's see, we got our menu. So obviously our header is definitely being included. Our images are showing up here. Let's see what happens here. Look at that. Alright, and it appears as though the JavaScript is also included here. Let's see if our slider works. It does. Alright. Now there's this upper menu that WordPress adds for the admin, and you can actually disable this within your theme functions. But if we inspect this bar, and if I bring my inspector over here so you can see it, what this admin bar does, it actually adds a class to the body element, this customized support class here, and we can actually provide a few rules here. So let me go ahead and close that. And whoops, I inadvertently logged myself out. So let's go back and look at our header here. And we can see just below the body tag is our navigation item here. So what we could do is we could actually apply a conditional style that basically says whenever the body has that customized support, we're going to go ahead and define the fixed navigation from being, normally it's a top value with a 0. If we actually were to open up our Webflow CSS, we would see that. But since the WP admin bar, oops, looks like I got to fix a permission real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and try that again here. Alright, perfect. So yeah, if we looked in the CSS of our Webflow document, and we actually went and found where the navigation item is, we'll see that it is positioned fixed with a top value of 0. So that should provide the fix that we're looking for, and yes, it does. Perfect. Okay, well, so far so good, but we still haven't really added too much dynamic functionality of this website. So let's go ahead and set up a few things with our WordPress here. I'm just going to go ahead and go to our posts and delete the default post that comes with this. And we'll go ahead and go to our pages. And we'll go ahead and put this in the trash as well. Go ahead and create a page and call it home. Create a new page and call it blog. And we'll set up a few things here in our settings. Now that we've added those pages, I can select my default front page and the default blog page here. I personally don't like the media saved in year and month folders, but a lot of this is just preferential. Okay. So now I'll come back over here to my code editor. And let's talk about how we're going to handle other pages. So right now this is the layout for our home page, but I want to have this header display across all pages regardless of whether it's the home page or it's my blog page. Same thing with this footer, and we've copied the code pretty much from here down to be in the footer PHP. So let's go ahead and put some conditionals in here, and we also want the other pages to have a container within the header and the footer so that our content is centered and stays within our I think it's either an 1100 or 1170 pixel container that we have here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and add a container. So we'll just call it div class body wrapper. You can use any class name that you'd like, and then we'll go ahead and open up our footer, and we'll provide the closing tag for that. Oh, and let's do the same thing we did here with our header. Like I said, this is just information that we can provide some notes telling us what we're doing with this file. Alright, let's go back to our main content. Now what we want to do is, for a good portion of this that's going to appear on our home page, we can actually provide a conditional where we tell WordPress if this page is our home page, and it gets this information from the actual page slug. So if we go look at our pages here, when we look at the home page, we can see that the slug here is the home page. Now if we look up the that function is page in the WordPress codex, you'll see that you can also supply the ID of the page, you can supply the title of the page, and of course with every if statement we have to have an ending tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it, if it's the home page, we're going to include this content, and if it is not the home page, we're going to provide a basic WordPress loop. So we'll come in and grab the area just below the clients slider, or clients area, and we'll add our else tag in here. And we'll also close out the else statement, or close out our if statement altogether with that little snippet. So there's three pieces of code. One basically said if this is our home page, provide the content that's below. If it's not the home page, then it's going to skip all the way down to this else statement and ignore everything up here, and of course right now do nothing. And actually, since we exited out of the PHP, we would have to comment it using the HTML comment. And if we were to go look at, let's say for example, our blog page, there's our header and our footer, but we have no spacing or padding or anything in there. And if we actually added content and edited our blog page and save this, we're not going to see it yet because we've basically said in our if-else statement we're not telling it to do anything or supply anything here. We need to actually tell it to grab that information from the page and output it in between the header and the footer, and so that's what we refer to as a loop, or more specifically the loop. And there's multiple ways to do the WordPress loop, but you can find quite a few boilerplates of the loop online. I found this at WP Tuts Plus, and if I paste this code in here, we're basically giving it a wrapper called section article. We're going to go ahead and give it a container. This is using the webflow container class here, so that it will constrain it and center it within our again, I think it's somewhere between 1200 pixels or 1170 pixels, and basically what we've done is we've basically said this loop goes in and looks to see if we're on a page and if it's a valid post, and captures some information as far as the title and the date, and we got our comment stuff in here, we got some previous next links and whatnot, and of course if we don't find any post data or that page doesn't exist, then we're gonna if there's no content, we're gonna say there's nothing found. So let's go ahead and just save that. Now if we refresh this page, it says not found. Now, because we defined this page in our settings to be the blog page, it's actually looking for posts, and it's going to ignore any content here in this page. So that's why when we view this page, it says that there's nothing found. Also, you'll notice that there's no padding here, so we can easily fix that by going into our style area, and let's see. So we wrapped that in a div with a class of section and also gave it a class of article, so we can come in here and just give it some padding on the top and the bottom. And let's look at our page here. And let's see. Actually want to give some margin to that body wrapper that we added. It's the header size. And now we got that padding and stuff that we're looking for. Alright, so if I come back here and I just go, let's say, new post. And I publish this. If I go back and I look at our blog page now, we'll now see that we have some information here, of which we could further add some styling to that. But for the focus for today is to basically get our website up and running, and we still have a few things that we want to do. So we want to be able to make this also a dynamic menu system within WordPress, and then we'll also add some widget areas that will replace these sections here. And of course, we want to change our menu system, since these are one-page anchor links on the home page. They're not going to provide any functionality for us here, so we'll have to modify that. Alright, so let's go ahead and create another file. This is called functions.php. Now, this isn't necessarily required in your theme, but it basically gives us a lot of control of what we can do with WordPress. And we'll go ahead and create this file, and I've included some links here to the WordPress codex that will kind of explain these files. But the core files inside our theme folder is the style CSS, index PHP, header PHP, footer PHP, and functions.php. And you'll notice here that there's a few things, like we don't have access to the WordPress menu in here, and we don't have widgets. We actually need to define those in our theme. So what we're going to do is we're going to create two menu types. One will be the primary menu that's used throughout the website, and another one will be the menu that we're going to use on the home page that has those unique anchor links to the different sections on the home page, which we don't want on our other pages. So we'll go ahead and just paste in this little snippet here. This will register two menus. We have a primary menu and we have a home menu, and it's very simple. Register nav menu, we tell it the type, and then of course this is the title that we're going to see in our menu system. We'll go ahead and save that, and we'll just go ahead and go right back out to our dashboard here, and now we can see that we have this menus option in here. So let's just go ahead and create our first menu. We'll call this main menu. We'll go ahead and create it, and we will check this box, because what we're going to do is we're going to insert some code inside our header where our menu is located, and we're going to say If this is the home page, display the home menu. If it's not the home page, display the primary menu. So this is how we're going to kind of mark this menu as being that primary menu. And we'll go ahead and save that. And then for now we're just going to add a basic link here. So we'll go ahead and add the home, we'll add blog, and we'll go ahead and add a custom link, which could be like a pop-up web form. And I think in our template we had a sign up. So all of these link to sections on the page with the exception of sign up. So if I click on features, customers, pricing, but sign up is just doesn't do anything. We could write a script to provide like a modal pop-up with a web form or something in that. But for now we'll just go ahead and add this in here, and we'll just write sign up. We'll add that. Go ahead and save it. We'll create a new menu. We'll call this home menu. And we'll tell our theme to use this menu whenever the home menu is called. Now on the home page we don't have a home link, so we'll just go ahead and mimic what we have here. So we have features, customers, pricing, and sign up. And the format of those links is the hash followed by the section we want to link to. We have customers, we have pricing, and we have sign up. Go ahead and save that. Now if we actually look at the site, we're still just grabbing the HTML, so we're not dynamic yet. We need to tell it to use these navigation menus. So let's go ahead and open up our header, and what we want to do is replace these links based on whether or not it's the home page or it is the not the home page, essentially. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is just come in here and temporarily comment this out for reference. And we'll go ahead and open up our PHP, and we'll go ahead and close it. Alright, and here what we'll do is let's just define the default menu. So we'll just use a variable, we'll call it menu equals primary, and this matches the definition here in our functions PHP. So it's going to, when referenced, it's going to actually pull this menu based on that definition there. Well, let's go ahead and add our if statement. So what we're going to do, we're going to say if is page home, and we will say $menu equals home. And that matches with this menu down here. So now that we've done that, we need to hook into WordPress's menu functionality. And for the sake of typing all this out, I'm going to go ahead and just paste in my code here, and then I'll explain what it does. So what we've got here is we basically have, we're storing the menu array into this variable here called header menu. And the WP underscore nav underscore menu is where we can provide an array of options. So what we've done here is we basically said the theme location references these two menus here that we've added to our theme, and that we've also defined when we built our menus by checking the appropriate boxes for those. So what we're basically saying is we're going to pass whatever this current variable is. So by default it's primary, but if we happen to be on the home page, then this value is going to overwrite that default value and tell it what menu to load and to return. Now what we've done is we've said don't wrap it in a container. Normally it wants to do a nav with a UL and then LI components, and we don't necessarily want that. Our default menu is just a nav with some anchor links in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to we've eliminated the unordered list, but we still have our list items, and this is also something that can be referenced in the WordPress codex, but this basically is representing our list items along with some additional information that WordPress is going to allow us to supply from our menu. So what we'll do is we'll just come back over here and just to quickly show you in our menus we can go ahead and turn on all these extra options that we can see. And so now when we look at these menu items, we can supply classes, extra information, a title attribute, and one of the things we're going to want to do is provide these classes here. The problem with the WordPress menu system is they don't provide a direct way to allow you to add the class to the actual anchor link. It wants to add it to the list item. So what we're going to do is we've basically stored our menu into this array, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a find and replace to basically go in and we'll remove the beginning of the LI opening tag, which will leave the class and any ID assignment that's with it, and we're going to replace it with the opening anchor tag. Then we're going to go to the end of that opening LI and we're going to remove the tail end of that as well as the beginning of our anchor tag within it, and we're just going to put a space. And so basically what this is doing is we'll go ahead and just copy one of these and I'll show you. So by default we would have LI, it'll probably give us an ID of some sort as well. This is something that's built into the WordPress nav menu function, and of course it's going to look something very much like this. And so what we're basically doing is we're saying replace this right here with the A tag there with our anchor tag, and then we're saying get rid of this right here and replace it with a space, and then we're coming in over here and we're also deleting the trailing LI tag off of it so that we basically end up with our anchor tag the way that we want. So it's a little tricky, but we're basically saying we have this find array, which is 3 items, 1, 2, and 3, and then the replace is also an array with 3 items, 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to replace this. This here is going to replace this second item, and then this third. So notice there's a space in there, but on this one we're omitting the space, which is just going to delete everything from that last content there. And now that we've done that, we can go ahead and delete that, save our file, And let's go ahead and view our menu system here. Oh, look at that. We have the correct menu up there, and we're just missing some styling. And that's because we didn't define any classes in our menu here. So let's go ahead and put those in there. These are the classes that the Webflow style sheet uses to style those menu items. Oops. We need to put them on all of our links, and actually for both menus. We'll just go ahead and refresh that for now. Hey, there we go. Alright. And since the structure matches up, the JavaScript also still works for tagging these as the current menu items. So if we look at our code here, we can see that we have a nav wrapper with our anchor links, and there's the IDs that WordPress added, as well as some additional classes that it injects. Let's go ahead and look at the blog page, and we'll see that that menu also needs some adjusting. So we'll come in here and select our primary menu. We'll go ahead and add these classes in here as well. We'll go ahead and save that. Refresh our page. Alright, and there we go. So we can simply add links to this menu by simply just coming into our menu system, add our menu item, and then we just also want to make sure that we add that additional class in there. And now we have a dynamic menu system that is driven by the WordPress database. Okay, so let's go back to our home page here and go ahead and scroll down to the bottom here. So now what we're going to do is just demonstrate how we can add some widget areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 4 columns here, and we're going to make these into widget areas, where we're going to do it in a way that if there is nothing defined in that widget space, then it will supply some default information, but as soon as you drop a widget in there, it will override that information with whatever widget you want to drop into that space. So let's take a look at that. Notice we don't have any widgets over here, so the first thing we need to do is define that in our functions PHP. So we'll come in here and head and register our widget items and add a little space between those so we can see the difference here. So what I've done is I've registered 4 sidebar areas. WordPress calls widget areas sidebars. And what we have is we have 4 of them. So we have the name, footer column 1, footer column 2, footer column 3, and footer column 4. And then I've also defined some before and after. So this is what is going to wrap the widget content. So we have our 50% column here, and then we have a couple other columns that are breaking out the remaining 50% into thirds. So we have footer column 2, footer column 3, and 4. And then of course the widget provides a title function, in which case we've also copied that structure, the class of logo-text, with an additional class of footer, and of course we're closing that as well. So if we go and we look, you'll notice that and then down here these 3 have a footer-title for the class. These are H4 heading elements, while this one was using a div. So if we actually look at the footer, we'll see that. So here's our 50% column, and that first title area that says metric has that logo dash text with an extra class of footer, and then down here we have our remaining 50% split into three 33% columns, and we can see that those titles are the H4 tags with that class that we defined in there. So what we're going to do is go ahead and widgetize these now. And this is really easy. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and just say if the function exists with the dynamic sidebar, which we defined in our functions.php, and we are going to actually, this says if the function does not exist, we're not going to do anything, but or if the footer column does not already exist, then we're going to supply this information that is between our if statements. So we're going to come in here and do our PHP end if statement. And so if neither of these are defined, then we are going to supply this information. And then of course by default the else statement is going to be provide the dynamic sidebar in this space if they are defined. So and we'll just go ahead and do that for all of these, changing the sidebar that we're calling, of course. Keep in mind I'm doing this where we are wrapping that container because we're supplying these containers and the title information inside each of these widget areas. And of course we still need to supply our closing if statements here. Okay, so if all goes well, I should be able to refresh this and everything should still remain the same, and it does. Okay, watch what happens when I refresh this page. Now we'll just reload the admin, and oh, you know what, I need to save our functions PHP first. There we go. Now if I refresh this page, we should have widgets, and we do. So there we go, and here's our 4 widget areas. So let's just start with widget 4. We'll go and just drag in a text area, and go ahead and let's see, what was this one called? I think it said legal. And with just that alone, if I refresh this page, I should expect to see the links under legal disappear. They did not. Let me get rid of that. Okay, after I saved my functions PHP and also the footer PHP, we can now see that we just have that title in there, and if we inspect the code, we will see now that we have that text widget in here. So I can come in over here and we'll go ahead and just paste in those 2 links just so we have oops. But you can literally put anything in here you want. If I refresh that, there we go. Same thing with our product area. Just drop in a text widget there. Call it products. Save. Do the same thing over here. And I believe on this one it's company. And if we come over here, we'll see quickly that we have only the titles because we didn't supply any additional content. So let's go ahead and paste in the links for our save that. And there's a lot of cool plugins out there that we can supply enhanced text areas where you can format using a WYSIWYG type of interface. There's obviously we could replace our sign up form if we wanted to. If we actually just were to drop a widget in here right now with nothing, it would basically clear out that column entirely. So notice we have our links in here, and all we have to do is simply delete this from that space and refresh it, and the default settings defined within our footer.php for that column come back into play.